In this video, I thought I would try to make a Juneteenth flag in SVG. One of my references is Wikipedia for the Juneteenth flag, and I had to do some uh, guessing as compared to the Wikipedia for the American flag, where they sort of give sort of precise ratios and specific colors. Uh, what they had. Uh, they didn't have that kind of detail for the Juneteenth flag, so I had to do some guessing. So I'll show you what guesses I made. But here is the basic flag with a blue, dark blue region, a red region. The red region is sort of arced. There's a 5-point star and I think that's 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pointed star. And the date. Okay. And then sort of here's my result. They didn't specify a blue, and I used one of the blues I found. The red. I used the red and the blue I found described on the American flag page. The blue here on the Wikipedia page seems to be much darker. And I don't have the right font. So I don't have things right, but I'll show you how I got, this is as close as I got for now, and I'll show you how I got that. Okay. All right. So one of the things it did say was that it was sort of a 3x2. So I declared a unit. I made it 300 pixels, and then I made the width of my SVG 3 times that unit and the height 2 times that unit. And so I am going to try to do as much as I can in terms of that unit. And again, I'm just sort of guessing at these things. I had played around with sort of making stars and making flags before. So here are like links to my YouTube videos on stars and flags, and then the actual pages that I talk about in those videos. Okay. Here is my SVG for the Juneteenth flag, and it's just empty, so it's all going to be put in there by the JavaScript. Okay. And I'm getting this unit that I declared up here in style, and I'm getting it down here, this unit for to be used in the JavaScript. So I only wanted it sort of defined in one place up here, but I needed it style-wise, and I needed it JavaScript-wise. Okay. So I'm making a rectangle, and this is the blue rectangle, as it says, starts at x and y of 0, 0, and 0. And I'm going, the width is the full width, which is 3 units, and the height, and this is the sort of where the blue isn't exactly a rectangle, but I'm going to make a rectangle and then make the red curve on top of it. So I'm going the farthest down to the blue, and my best estimation was that was 4/3 of a unit. So halfway down would be 1 unit. Halfway down would be 1 unit, but this measured up, about 4/3. I thought. And I'm filling it with this blue. Again, this blue is from the Wikipedia page on the American flag. And then I've added it. So that added the big blue part. Now I'm making this rounded part For the red, I'm going to use a Bezier cubic curve. So I'm going to use path, SVG's path, and I'm going to use the cubic version, and then add below. I'll just make the arc part, and then I'll fill in below with a red rectangle. Okay, so I was doing I'm starting over here, and so that was that horizontally a 0, and vertically that 4/3 of a unit down. Okay. And then I need some point in Bezier. I have, after I sort of have my starting point, which I specify with M, I have the next thing involves sort of 3 points. The last point is where I end up, which I'm going to put into the middle, sort of 1.5 units over and 1 unit up. So I am saying that this red is in the center. So the vertically I have 2 units, so this would be 1 unit, and horizontally I have 3 units, so this would be 1.5 unit. So I'm going, that's the point I'm going to. And then I need in the it's not quartic, a cubic Bezier, I need 2 more points. I need the point which when I am leaving, then I seem to be heading toward. And that's this one here. So the M is where I'm starting. Then the C is this cubic Bezier thing, the last part of which is an actual point that I reach. And then this is a point that as I'm leaving the initial point that I seem to be heading toward. And then this here on line 63 is a point that I seem to be coming from. Okay, so I sort of broke it up, again, going horizontally. From this horizontally all the way was 3 units. And so I just sort of broke it up into thirds. And I said, let me make my first Bezier point, what was that? A half a unit, then a unit, then 1.5 units. So you see half a unit, 1.5 unit. Okay. And then the this point was easy. This because it was horizontal at this top part is horizontal. So if I'm thinking where am I coming from, I'm coming from the vertical is unit, and I just said I broke up my 1.5 into 0.51 and 1.5, so it was unit. So that was unit. Now, what did I do for this first one? Let me play this game with snip. Do I want to play it with snip? No, I don't. Yes, I think I will play with snip and see what I can do. Right, so I tried to make a line that went, I won't be able to draw a straight line, but I'm making a line that goes from, imagine that line was straight, from here to here. What a lousy straight line that was. And so I know its slope. I know where it starts and where it ends, and so I know its slope. And so that's the line that I used here for this. So I chose an X of sort of a third of the way, so 0.5 of a unit, and then I made it this And then when I calculated my slope and added it to where I was, what was the change in y for the change in x? And I came up with sort of 10, I was coming from 10/9 of a unit. Okay. It's just a guess on my part. I can't say that that is in any way right. Okay. And that got me my first part of my curve. In SVG Bezier curves and paths, you have an option of using an S if you are continuing on with your path. So I started with an M, then I went to a C. The next thing I have is an S, and S means that as you're continuing on, use the sort of reflection of the point. So this S automatically assumes that I'm going to be coming out horizontal, and then it is that sort of next third of the way over. And so then I didn't have to do those calculations. That was just assumed by my using S, that I was using this sort of, that the first control point was just a reflection of the previous control point. Okay, so and that was that horizontal. So I don't have to, I mean, it would have been not difficult to figure out because it was just horizontal, but I used the S, so I didn't have to figure it out. Then the next point is the sort of where I am heading, where I seem to be coming from to reach my point. And so I am again using that crappy slope thing, but now I am so I'm 2/3 of the way over in the second half, where I'm 2.5 of the 3 units over, and it's this 10/9 again, but this time I'm sort of coming down. And then I finally end at 3 units all the way over to the right, and 4/3 unit down, sort of back to where I was vertically. And then I just say I want to close the path. That's the Z. And then I add the path with this. All this stuff I was making was the what they call the D of the path. I made it. I filled it in with a red. The red came from the Wikipedia for the American flag, and I've added it. So that's just the rounded part. Then I added a rectangle starting at horizontally at 0, 4/3 of a unit down, and goes all the way across 3 units and goes all the way down, which is just now at this stage 2/3 of a unit. And I made it red and I added it to the flag. Okay. Now I'm going to make this big outer star. This big outer star, which had it's a polygon with 24. And so here it is. So I had, making a polygon. It's centered at horizontally at 1.5 units, vertically at 1 unit. I am just guessing based on some measurements I made. So I'm using the outer radius to be about 0.8 of a unit, and the inner radius to be about 5/9 of a unit. And then I'm going to collect my points. And then I'm going around, I'm looping 24 times. And it's sort of inner radius, outer radius, inner radius, outer radius. And I broke up 2 pi all the way around the circle into sort of 24 segments. And so that's this Math.PI my counter divided by n. So that's sort of what angle I'm at. This extra minus 0.5 of Math.PI, that gets me sort of started at the top. So it's minus 90, minus 90 degrees, and that gets me sort of uh, the star having a point pointing up. And I just go around, and if it's even, I'm doing the outer. If it's otherwise, I'm doing the inner, and I'm creating my X and Y points, and I'm pushing them onto some array of points. And then I set the attribute for my SVG to be the points attribute to be my points array, and I'm joining them with a big set of commas. Okay. Um, it was a stroke, so I wanted to be the stroke to be white. I want it to be the stroke to be fairly wide, and I just again I'm guesstimating. I said 0.08 times a unit. And then I want it to have no fill because I want to see the red behind it. And then I want to also make my star behind it. And then I've added that star, and that was the outer 24-point star. And now I'm making my 5-point star. I said, again, this is just another estimate, that my outer radius was 0.4 times a unit. I have in a previous video talked about if you want your star, this part of the star to be sort of almost look like a continuous line and a continuous and horizontal line, then there's a particular ratio between the inner and outer radius, and here it is. So you can find one of my previous videos and I go through that math. Again, start off my points as an empty array. This time I have 10 points. And the same idea going through my loop and sort of dividing up the 360 degrees or the 2 pi radians into, in this case, 10 units, and sort of breaking up odd and even to sort of have an outer radius, inner radius, outer radius, inner radius. And this time I had a fill before I had a stroke to make it empty. Now I'm having a fill to just fill it in as white and added it. And so that was that 5-point star. And then I need the writing. So I'm going to have an SVG text element. I started off at X of 0 and Y of 0. And then I'm going to translate and rotate it. And so here comes next is my transform. And I am both going to translate and rotate it. I'm rotating it minus 90 degrees around 0, 0. And then I'm translating it. And I have some work down here to sort of center it. So vertically, I wanted it at unit, which will center it in the center vertically of the flag. And then I went over, and again, this is just sort of my best estimate. I went over sort of 2 1/3 units. This text anchor and align baseline are for some centering thing. I just find, especially vertically, working with text a little bit hard. It's just a bit of guesswork. I filled the font in with white, and I made the font size 4/15 of a unit. Again, I'm trying to scale everything in the unit. I don't know what the font is, and if I compare the two flags, I clearly have the font wrong, but I just chose a simple sans serif font, and I made it bold, and then here was the date that is on the Juneteenth flag, and I added it to the flag. So that is it. I'm at the bottom of this thing. That's the end of my description. I wanted to make a Juneteenth flag in SVG, playing around with JavaScript. I don't have I don't have the font right. I may have some of the proportions a little off, but anyway, happy Juneteenth.